Listen, when I say Prince William has finally had enough, I mean he's totally done being the nice guy. For years, he's watched news story after news story turn the royal family into a reality TV show. The leaked secrets, the tell-all books, the family fights shown to everyone. And the whole time, William stayed cool, smiling nicely while everything went crazy around him. But lately, that cool attitude has broken. Behind the palace walls, people who work there quietly say that William's patience broke the moment he figured out the royal family's reputation wasn't being hurt from outsiders. It was falling apart from the inside. He's apparently told his advisors that the royal family can't keep giving in to feelings. What he really means is, no more giving people another chance. To him, protecting the royal family means getting rid of the problems, even if that means cutting off his own brother. People close to the future king say he's reached his breaking point. He's seen the mess. He's heard people making fun of them, and he's done watching the royal family look powerless. This isn't about getting revenge. It's about staying alive as an institution. And in William's mind, staying alive sometimes means making tough cuts. Word on the street is that secret conversations have already been happening, the kind that never get written down officially. Supposedly, William's closest advisors have been working with trusted lawyers on a plan that could completely change the royal family map forever. The talk: getting Parliament on board, a move that makes sure the future king can take away or change royal status without politicians fighting back. Sources say it's not just about punishing Harry and Meghan. It's about building a modern royal family that doesn't carry extra baggage. One insider explained it perfectly. It's like surgery, not a scandal. This plan isn't loud or it's quiet, exact, and seriously effective. The attention falls right on two names, Archie and Lilibet. William's supporters argue that if the kids aren't being raised to do royal work, then royal titles mean nothing. Just fancy names without any real purpose. Supposedly, this new approach with Parliament would make sure those fancy names can be taken away, smoothly and legally, once William becomes king. It's a complete change disguised as just updating rules, and when it happens, it won't be done with big announcements or anger. It'll be done with paperwork and an official stamp. One signature, hundreds of years of change. Now, here's where the story gets really intense. Because the real power to remove titles doesn't come from Parliament. It comes from something way older, hidden deep in royal tradition. Letters patent. Think of it as the royal family's secret weapon. A document that decides who counts as royal and who doesn't. With just one update, a king or queen can redraw the family tree like an artist erasing names from a painting. The last big rewrite happened back in 1917 when King George V limited prince and princess titles to only the grandchildren of the ruling king or queen. That's the rule that later gave Archie and Lilibet their royal status when Charles became king. But here's the thing. That rule isn't written in stone. It can change anytime a king or an heir with enough power decides to make things stricter. And insiders say William's lawyers have already written up the words for a future update. The suggested change? Royal titles will only go to working royals and direct heirs. That means anyone living outside of royal duties. Even royal children raised in another country would lose their status immediately. No court case, no argument, no second chance. It's smooth, final, and totally legal. The royal family's hidden weapon, pulled out and ready. And that's where the whispers turn serious, because once that order is signed, Archie and Lilibet's royal names disappear like fog in the morning for Meghan. It's not just about losing a title. It's about losing the whole foundation of her entire life after leaving the royal family. Inside Buckingham Palace, the atmosphere has gotten tense. King Charles and Prince William, once on the same page because of duty, now stand on opposite sides of the same fancy hallway. Charles still hopes for peace. Always the father, always the peacemaker. He believes relationships can be fixed with tea, letters, and second chances. But William, he's run out of patience and understanding. Sources claim the two men have had more than just polite disagreements. There have been uncomfortable silences, tense private meetings, and one moment where Charles supposedly told William to remember to show mercy. William's response: "Mercy is what got us into this mess." It's not anger pushing him forward. It's a sense of mission. In his eyes, every time Charles forgave someone, another scandal followed. Another documentary, Another headline dragging the royal name through the dirt. William doesn't see emotions as a good thing anymore. He sees them as the royal family's weak spot. And while Charles still wants to fix the family, Parliament wants action. Politicians whisper that if the royal family doesn't fix itself soon, they'll be forced to step in. That's all William needed to hear. The heir to the throne is done waiting for the okay. Here's where the future king found his game plan. A few years ago, across the North Sea, Queen Margrethe of Denmark shocked her country by taking away royal titles from 4 of her grandchildren. She said it wasn't mean, it was about being clear. Too many royals, too few doing actual work. William watched that move carefully. Sources say he respected her for it, calling it brave, clean, and needed. To him, Margrethe proved that a royal family survives, not by keeping everyone royal, but by deciding who actually does the work. Behind closed doors, William started studying how she did it. The timing, the legal steps, how she explained it to the public. Supposedly, his team even talked to advisors who know about European royal families to learn how to make the royal family smaller without causing chaos. This became his guide. A modern royal family, smaller, stronger, more organized. The message? If Denmark could do it without falling apart, so can Britain. And with every headline about scandal or people acting entitled, William's belief got stronger. When the crown goes to him, titles won't be prizes, they'll be jobs. And anyone who treats them like brand names, gone. Now we arrive in California where the sun shines, and people are getting nervous. In Montecito, Meghan Markle has built a business empire on charm, confidence, and one important word, Duchess. The podcasts, the business deals, the paid speaking events, they all revolve around that title. It's her main selling point in Hollywood, the Duchess of Sussex. But the moment word got out that William's changes could erase those titles, fear reportedly kicked in. Insiders whispered that her team started having emergency meetings. PR advisors were called in, and one phrase was repeated in every conversation. What happens if it's gone? Because without the royal connection, Meghan's brand loses its special appeal. Spotify already backed away. Netflix lost interest. And that lifestyle company she hoped would compete with Goop. Barely a whisper, not making much noise. Sources claim Meghan even looked into legal ways to trademark Duchess of Sussex as a last name, anything to keep the royal connection alive. But word is William saw it coming and quietly worked to block any business use of royal titles in future trademarks. The message from across the Atlantic couldn't be more obvious. The royal family is taking back its name. And for Meghan, whose whole identity was built around that name, everything underneath her is starting to crumble. By now, the tension inside the royal family has turned into a complete freeze. Supposedly, Prince Harry made one last desperate phone call to his father, hoping for help before the final decision landed. He wasn't calling as the Duke of Sussex. He was calling as Charles's son, begging for the family he used to have. But the line stayed silent. People close to the situation say Charles didn't answer. Instead, messages were seen but not replied to. For Harry, that silence said it all. The royal family had moved on. Back in California, Meghan tried to stay in control, writing statements, looking at options, talking about how to handle the media. But across the Atlantic, William was already locking in the future. One palace insider supposedly described the mood perfectly. It wasn't anger, it was cleaning house. For Harry, the heartbreak wasn't about losing titles. It was realizing that his brother wasn't fighting with him anymore. He was simply wiping away the whole fight. In Montecito, the energy changed overnight. The phones that used to ring constantly suddenly slowed down. Invitations went quiet. Even brands that once desperately wanted her name paused, waiting to see what would happen next. Sources close to Meghan say she couldn't believe it. The Duchess title had been her protection, her special glow, the connection between Hollywood glamour and royal mystery. Without it, she was just Meghan again. Word from insiders paints a picture of panic. Crisis meetings in fancy offices, legal discussions, new PR strategies, written up overnight. But the damage was already done. Hollywood doesn't chase former royals. It chases what's popular right now. And Meghan's brand was starting to look like yesterday's news. Meanwhile, across the ocean, morning came to London. Buckingham Palace glowed in soft light, and the mood inside was surprisingly calm. For the first time in years, there was structure. The noise had stopped. William, now fully taking on the role of someone changing things, had done what no royal before him was brave enough to do. He had drawn the line between family and the crown. He didn't do it for praise, he did it for what he'll leave behind. The royal family, smaller and stronger, looked almost brand new. The public started to see him differently. Not as the quiet prince, but as a leader who took action when others waited. Some called him cruel, others called him necessary. And Meghan? Somewhere in California, she looked at a world that had stopped calling her Duchess. For the royal family, this was the beginning of a new time. For Meghan and Harry, it was the quiet after the storm. Because in the end, titles don't make people royal. Character does. And as the palace gates closed on another chapter of royal drama, one question hung in the air. If the Duchess is gone, who is Meghan now?